Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Live stream is still a little bit new to me. Hello, everybody. I'm Robert Butler. Welcome to SportsSkope. Russell Wilson situation getting heated up at this point, and I'll tell you my thoughts about that. Teams that he could go to. What is his motivation? Is it winning or is it brand building? Because I'm not really sure at this point. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about the Tyler Heinicke. What a great story. Signs an extension with Washington. That's been overlooked. Tom Brady drunk and Mark Cuban and the national anthem situation. But first, let me tell you about Alternate. Alternate is a nonprofit, 100% funded by Tolic Boards out of Brooklyn, New York area. Received support or partnered with New York Ranger hockey team, former Ranger legends Mark Messier, Adam Graves, Ron Duguay, WFAN's Boomer Esiason, the most legendary local sports talk station in the country. They provide humanitarian and educational services to underserved communities. For example, pay for fees for youth to play sports, also provide equipment to help out. They also help out in the music and arts fields. For more information on how to donate or request help for a youth, please contact them at www.alternite.com or visit the Alternite Facebook page. That is ALTRUNITE, Alternite Facebook page, or you can call 917-775-4005. Tell them Robert from SportsSkope sent you. Alternate, good people doing a good thing. Okay, now I'll tell you guys, first of all, let's rewind back to last weekend. There were rumors that teams had been calling Seattle about Russell Wilson over the weekend, and nothing really seemed to come about that, but I wanted to talk about it anyway, so I want to light this screen up a little bit here on my tablet so we can get everybody involved there. There we go. And then he goes on the Dan Patrick show earlier this week, since the last time I've been on this program, and he says he doesn't know if he's going to be a Seahawk, and I'm paraphrasing, and he says he doesn't like to get hit. And then Pro Football Talk says that management, sources inside of management said that they're not sure if they're very irked about that inside the office, and they're not sure if this relationship is sustainable. Now, when he first signed this contract, was it 2 years ago? $35 million plus, and I talked about this before ad nauseum, and I want to stay with it. And I said that these guys will likely not go to the playoffs. If they do, they're not going to get to the Super Bowl because of that insane, I don't want to say insane. The guys earned it, but it's a give and take business, right? And you look at some of the top quarterbacks that are paid: Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers. No Super Bowl appearances. They it's a miracle the Pittsburgh, but those teams have drafted really well, and they hinge on that. If you've got one of these higher end quarterbacks, and you don't draft well, it's hard to really build a championship team around you because you have they're sucking so much money out of the quarterback. And remember, going back to that contract extension, I think the real issue with it is his wife, Sierra, the famous wife. I think she is getting in this guy's head, telling him to be more aggressive. Remember, he gave them a ultimatum and a deadline to sign an extension with him last time. And that was all her doing. That because it seems like he's getting more and more out of character as this relationship with Seattle goes on. Now, I'm not going to blame Sierra, his wife, the beautiful wife, the singer, for everything. I also want to, pass the blame on to the Seattle management, their general manager, their scouting departments, Pete Carroll. A lot of that work, you got a lot of vanilla schemes there, not good running game like it used to be, a lot of bad draft picks. So they're not totally out of the blame game. But I do think that his wife is really pushing him to do these things. She's a singer. She wants to get out of there, but he just doesn't want to go. And my thing is, just tell him in person. Tell him, in private, preferably in person. But, this guy, since this thing is kicked in, they really haven't gone on pretty far. Their defense has been horrendous at times. He's getting sacked a lot, but there was a Pro Football Focus stat that showed that he walks into a lot of sacks. He's 33 years old. I get it. He makes that $30+ million contract. Now, I got on here. A lot of people said I was crazy on Tuesday that a straight up trade where the opposition doesn't have to give an absolute king's ransom as far as numbers would be Jacksonville. And your selling point would have to be with selling Russell, obviously, to play for this team. Again, and I want to reiterate, they got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. They got the most money. They can swallow that contract. Close to $80 million in cap room. Got some young players on their offensive line. They got a 1,000-yard rusher. They have DJ Shark, number 1 receiver. And I mentioned the slot receiver. That's a very, very long shot there. But now this thing is heating up and other management starting to get irritated. And I don't know. I just think that the fact that when you've got more hit rates, you got a higher hit rate on quarterbacks being drafted now, that I think you can take a chance. Again, look at the guys that are in the Super Bowl. Brady, $25 million, major pay cut. Brady made less money from 2009 to 2019 than Matt Stafford. Look at Stafford. He's miserable. So when you're winning, and I keep referring back to The Last Dance. It's a great, great documentary. Long. Watched it twice. May watch it again. And Michael Jordan made a good point. He said, I'm always on 1-year contracts later on in my career. And I don't sell those shoes if I wasn't winning at such a high level. Brady is taking, and look at him. He's doing great. He's taking $25 million. The market, maybe he could have took 30 to 37. They don't have some defensive players on that team, everybody. They have to cut players. When you start getting into the higher number, the cap's going to be $185 million. He wants 35 to 40, or he's got 35 now per year. So you got to look at that and say, this guy is 5'11". His career, I see going more like a Drew Brees than a Tom Brady because he's not as tall. He has to have better footwork to get out of pressure than a taller player like a Tom Brady. I love Russell Westbrook. These guys always get the two mixed up. They get tongue-tied. Russell Wilson was the MVP favorite 2 years in a row for me. Coming into the season, throughout the season, of course, he fell off both, and then Lamar Jackson got a year before last, and then Aaron Rodgers got it this past year. But at some point, I don't like it when players do that, call out the team in the media. I really don't like that. I think it's unprofessional. Go to them behind the scenes. Now, if they blow you off, I don't know if that's happened. He hasn't said that. I doubt it. I doubt if that's happened. But I will say this, that you're probably not going to get, air quote, full value, but you can get some value there, and you can put great pieces around this new quarterback immediately. And CBS, they made a list of 13 teams that would be logical suitors. No, they didn't mention Jacksonville. I threw that out there because of the money. The state income tax is less. But they mentioned Dallas. And for one thing, again, I think Sierra has a big influence on this guy. She has a huge influence on Russell. Beautiful woman, I get it. Behind every great man's a great woman, right? So they say. So she's from Austin. Dallas, big for the brand, would help her out and him out. Now that being said, how much football sense does that make? You know, you're going to get what they're playing Dak. They're still decimated defensively. They're depleted. They did 2 or 3 pass rushers on that team, corners, safeties, and they've already overpaid for Zeke Elliott. They're going to have to trade a wide receiver. Now, when you got a guy like 80-year-old Jerry Jones, when you got a guy like that who is really wanting to win now, he would push everything in. This would be a New Orleans Saints type of situation where they're going to be busted wide open eventually on the cap, but he's willing to take those kind of chances and mortgage the future to get a ring now. I can see that. I can very much well see that. And she'll be at home. Those state tax in Texas, that will make the wife happy. But I don't know if that's the best football move for him. The best football move for him is a clean slate with a great coach, great running game, 4th in the NFL rushing yards, and that is New England. You get a guy like Russell Wilson signed with New England. I know they don't have the skilled players. They'll get the skilled players through free agency when you've got a player like that. But the thing is, what do you do to compensate Seattle? Do you give up a first-round pick and a few defensive players? I don't know if that would work for Seattle. So it comes back to other teams. The two that a lot of people were talking about with Deshaun Watson. Let me ask you guys something. If Miami had Russell Wilson, were they in the playoffs last year? You know, I think they win. They win a game or two. They probably come all the way back on one of their games that they lost. I think they win at Denver, and that gets them in, right? They maybe win one of those Buffalo shootouts. Let's see. Congrats on your win. Good at what you do. Okay, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. Yeah, Kathy was commenting. I won the DraftKings at winning that. I split $1 million 412 ways. But hey, you know, beat out 355,000 entries. That's pretty good. You know, best in the country, baby. But so I feel like the wife is behind this thing. And I feel like he's a little bit out of character. And he's going about it the wrong way. Love this guy as a player. Talk to him. Tell him what you want. Don't bring it up again on the media. Is this salvageable? Yes. It's salvageable. But going back to this other deal. Now, from my understanding, the salary cap works in a sense where Seattle will take part of that cap money this year, and the other team will take part of it. And then, of course, the other team, it all falls off on them. The other team, meaning, say, for instance, the New York Jets. That was second in this. Now, the Jets, I wouldn't ask the Jets for that much other than take the majority, restructure this contract, and where you guys take the majority of it. Now, I know this can be happened because, again, John Robertson did this with the Brian Tannehill contract when he first got here in the trade. So if you can get a situation, if you're Seattle, for instance, and you get a Jet team to take the majority of Russell Wilson's contract and maybe add some on, restructure his contract. Now she's, model, singer, whatever. That would be great for her too. She's in the New York City market. If you do that, then Seattle should just ask for the number 2 pick, another Wilson, ironically. He's getting a lot of publicity, Kyler Wilson. It gives Pete Carroll another chance, a clean slate, and it frees up a lot of cap money. I think Pro Football Focus said it was like $59 million in cap money over the next 3 years that Seattle would save. So you open up all that cap money and you get that number 2 pick. And I know that Pete Carroll likes defenses. Go after Quentin Williams. I believe by watching teams like the Rams and watching teams like the Tampa Bay Bucks, that a new beginning is coming towards the NFL. Teams usually don't trade quarterbacks and move and shift players out like that. The Rams are almost trailblazers for what they did with bringing in Stafford. I'm not sure if it's going to work. They need interior line help. We saw that in the Super Bowl. But you could see that the other teams are looking at the idea of trading a guy as good as a Deshaun Watson, as prolific as a Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, deadlock probably – no, excuse me. He's a deadlock Hall of Famer. Not Watson – still very young. But, I'll tell you this. It's something that Seattle really needs to look into. You got to look at what you're opening up. You got to look at the hit rate. Now, if there's scouts saying that Wilson, this other Wilson from BYU is not that good, want to ease things over with Russell and say, listen, man, love you to death. Please don't ever do that again. Please don't do that again. But if it's a point of no return, you got the number 3 pick with Miami. Again, get them to take the chunk of that salary. They probably don't want Tua. I think Tua still has to prove himself a little bit more. I don't believe scouts and general managers around the league are high on Tua yet. He hasn't had that wow moment like other young quarterbacks come into the league. But the 3 pick is a different story. Now you have an asset there. You take one of those defensive linemen, and I think that would work with Miami. You put Russell Wilson in Miami, and big things can happen from him there as well. So there's a lot to chew on there. Again, didn't like the way he done it. I know he's a guy that really doesn't get criticized a lot, but I just didn't like that. And again, with Seattle, they have not handled this thing right. They have not done a good job drafting well. They've not done a good job in free agency. Forever, I don't know, Megatron, or I forgot the guy's name, that receiver they've got. You have a Rashard Penny, It's and CBS, they list other teams, the Jets, the Carolina Panthers, the Colts. The problem with the Colts is they don't have the assets. I mean, who do you give up? Buckner, Taylor? You need a team with a early draft pick, top 5. That's why I said player for player this past Tuesday. You trade a Trevor Lawrence type of player with his kind of height. You got that clean slate. That would work. And maybe Wilson, this other guy. But after Trevor Lawrence, you're going to get into the opposition's going to have to dig deeper in their pockets to land a guy like a Russell Wilson. That's all I'm saying. And to cut him, they're not going to do that. No way. It would make him look bad as well. Okay. Let me make sure I've got everything in here. Okay, Brady. Okay. I thought it was funny. They had a really good time with that boat parade. I know it's a natural euphoric high. That was somewhat what I felt like winning that tournament the other day, but I couldn't imagine winning without Belichick, the getting that off of his back, doing it so soon with one of his good friends, Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady, looked great in the game. Like I said, he played with it himself, played great. It's an amazing, amazing feat. It'll be talked about from years from now. And I talked about the Bruce Arians thing on Tuesday's program. But, Bruce Arians bringing that open beer up there to accept it. And that just tells me, I say, yeah, that's a loose situation. No risk it, no biscuit. I've heard other stories that he wants to, get drinks late in the afternoon, call it a day, and Bruce Arians and all that, delegates a lot, huge staff, so he can delegate everything, so he don't have to fool with it. Now, Brady, this is from a guy who's lived in the glass house. I don't throw stones. And he was pretty hammered. Kathy, I don't know if you've seen that video of Brady. Guy's walking around. He looks like he's really, really out of it. They were on the boat party drinking a lot of tequila. And I'll say this from a guy who's been way more plastered than that. And 3-day hangovers. Well, not now. It was several years ago. Now I barely drink. But I'm just, for the fact that what I'm about to say is, trust me, I'll say this, I'm not, throwing stones here. But with your health product and the TB12, I'm not a fanboy like a lot of the rest of the media is. But that was not a good look for Brady. To be seen that drunk on camera, not a good look. I don't care what the others say. Drunk Brady, Tom Brady drunk, trending in the media, on Twitter, on different media outlets. That is not a good look for a guy with his type of brand. I know that when you people want to let loose, a guy works like a dog, one of the greatest of all time, the greatest. I get it, but it is that's a bad look. I don't know how many people are actually saying it because there's so many fanboys of the guy, but that I didn't like that. And but that being said, we'll see. People are asking me already what I think about Tampa next year. I think there was a billboard from somebody from New Orleans, or somebody, a Tampa fan in New Orleans, saying, "Who dat?" It's like a little Saints thing with the Saint fan base, and then they said, "We dat." They're talking a lot of trash. They're resting on their laurels a little bit, and I can already see it in the celebration. I think Tampa takes a big step back next year. I don't think that now their division, I don't know what the Saints are going to have to cut, rearrange to get around their cap. Atlanta's got a new coach. The Carolina Panthers are going to be better. Coming in, finishing that game, coming into next season, immediate thought, Tampa's going to win the NFC South. Everything's going to be everything. But the vibe I get by the pictures I've seen, by the videos I've seen, between Bruce Arians bringing that beer up there, throwing that trophy around boats like that, I just think that this comes off very Philadelphian. Someone said the other day, and I want to say it was Doug Gottlieb of Fox Sports, and he says players look great the first year away from Belichick, but they fall off the second year away from Belichick. And my thing with that is, hold on, everybody. I am already almost 25 minutes in. I get to talking and just lose track of time. I have to start over my recording there. That they fall off, see, because they're not under that strict regimen, routine, military-like discipline that Belichick installs. And I'll tell you this. When Parcells left Dallas, the first year, and Wade Phillips took over. Parcells, another great coach like a Belichick. Belichick came from his coaching tree. And they went 13-3. Remember Romo and everybody? And the next year fell off big time. I don't know about not making the playoffs, but I'll go a step further than the Super. I don't think they'll make the NFC Championship game next year. I think that there'll be other teams around between the NFC West to bounce back, the NFC East to be stronger, that their division, likely with the new coaches, could be stronger. Don't think the Saints will be that much stronger. But I just got a gut feeling they're not going to be as dominant as they think they are. I think they're going to rest on their laurels. And part of it's going to be because he's one other year away from Belichick. Could be wrong, but I just sense it from watching that party that's just not going to be the case next year. And I was on another podcast today, and I can't remember the name of the guy's show, but they were asking me if I think any of these teams will get back, and the fact that that Kansas City now, it's hard for a loser to get back, and the rest on your laurels thing, the team that looks a little too loose in their party afterwards, Tampa, I don't think they're going to be back. I don't think they're going to make it to the NFC Championship game next year. I just call it a gut. And they got a few players that's free agent. You got Godwin, Griffin, Mike Evans said he'd take a discount. Are you going to bring back a Antonio Brown, knowing that he's out to just flip out at any point and be Antonio Brown again? Is Leonard Fournette going to start mailing it in again like he did with Jacksonville? We'll see. Food for thought. Okay. Other news. Okay, this is like the feel-good story, everybody. I tell you, Taylor Heinicke. Taylor Heinicke signs a 2-year extension with Washington, $8.75 million. And I just love stories like this, guys. The quarterback for Washington, this guy played for the XFL last year, making $55,000 a year in another football league, Kathy. And the league goes away, gets shut down, COVID run, all that. Plus, they probably fell apart anyways. Look at the AAF, right? Excuse me. So you got Tyler, and then he makes it. There's 3 injuries in Washington. The harder you work, and my dad used to tell me this all the time. The harder you work, luckier you get. They had 3 injuries. What was his name? Cal Allen went down. Of course, they cut their quarterback there, the guy from Ohio State, and then Alex Smith gets hurt, and they bring this guy off of like a practice squad or something. He plays well, 40 yards rushing, plays really well. In the playoff loss to this Tampa Bay team, and he goes from $55,000, which he didn't make that because the season got cut short, to $8.75 million extension, even in Landover, Maryland, which where Washington plays at officially. Even with the agent's cut, that is still a lot of money. Nobody's talking about that. That's just a little blurb. You work hard in life, you keep your head down, you don't let life get you too down, and then good things happen. I just love that story more than anything I've seen in the news this week. The Tyler, and then John Walford, the guy from the Rams that Sean McVay wanted to start over Oh, Jared Goff. Another guy from one of these semi-pro leagues. A guy that just didn't want to give up. Just did not want to push the cards in and get the regular job and just be average. You know, he's still on their roster. There was another player that the Carolina Panthers, when Teddy Bridgewater got hurt, he played a game and won a game. I can't remember his name, but he was one of those XFL guys or AAF guys as well. And it tells you that those leagues, if you're just patient with these leagues and you have a real business plan and you expect to lose money the first 3 to 5 years, I still say semi-pro spring football will work. There's good players out there. There's three quarterbacks that got snaps in the NFL last year. One got an $8 million extension, Tyler Heinicke from Washington. So the rest of you out there, people like me, it motivates people like me who do my own show, don't get callbacks from agents, don't get callbacks from managers because I have this regional accent. Even though my style and substance, I'd put it against anybody in the country, any sportscaster in the country. My prep work wasn't too great today. Drove in the rain all day, busting headache, dead tired. But it just goes to show you that stuff will work. If you got the right amount of money, it takes a big Jeff Bezos type of guy, you know, with his Amazon guy, you know, to hold those leagues together. But that, I'm telling you, if there was a football game on this week, I would watch it if it's a good semi-pro game. Now, I wasn't a big arena football league guy. That was never really my thing. Even though I think Kurt Warner played for the Arena League. I just think those stories are fascinating, everybody. Kudos to Tyler Heinicke. That is life-changing money for somebody making $55,000 a year with the XFL, and then he gets on with Washington. That just made me feel good. I noticed Orlando Brown wants he played left tackle for Baltimore, and now when Ronnie Stanley went down, and now he wants out. He wants that left tackle money, and that just goes to show you what this Warren Moon played for Canadian Football League. Yeah. I want to say it was another great quarterback too. I think Steve Young played for Canada, if you guys don't recall. I want to say it was Steve. It was one of those other really good players. Maybe Steve Young. Maybe it was him that played for the USFL, the other league that was started back in the 80s. But I tell you what, it's something, man. It's something. And the fact that Orlando Brown is playing so well, going back to the Ravens at left tackle, that he wants out. He wants to be traded. He says he don't want the money, but he wants the money. And it's very rare in this Super Bowl that you guys seen that offensive line is a big deal in the NFL. It's a big deal. And you get a team. This is why I really admire the Ravens. Russell Wilson be great with Baltimore, by the way. Trade Lamar if they'll buy Lamar. I'd trade Lamar yesterday. Trade Lamar, one of those defensive players, for Russell Wilson straight up. You're a Super Bowl favorite. You're right there in the money. If you're fifth, you go to 2. But not going back to Orlando Brown. This guy, terrible combine. Ravens drafting. He's perfect. I don't know if he plays right or guard, but either way, they move a player to left tackle. Usually it's a disaster when that happens. And this guy plays so well, he wants to be traded. You know, and it's just a hats off moment for your management staff. But I tell everybody this, and I don't want me to sound like a broken record, but you build your team on offensive, defensive lines. You try to get your quarterback on a rookie contract as long as you can. Don't extend running backs and don't even extend receivers. You extend your the ones that can play, and you pick up free agent, offensive, defensive line. You want to get as much depth at those positions as possible. Don't get cheap there. You can get cheap on running back. And you can draft receivers. Don't pay wide receivers and running back a big bunch of money. And you want to get your quarterback not to max out. Again, not to sound like a broken record. Who's throwing around the Lombardi trophy in a boat party? He had too much to drink. It's a guy who took $25 million instead of $35 to $37 million. That's Tom Brady. People say what they want to about what his wife makes, whatever. Newt Rodney had it right a long time ago. This is a coach for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Everybody loves a winner. Michael Jordan said, I don't sell them kind of shoes if I'm not winning at that level. Winning is everything. Winning in a big market is even that much better. Now, I understand people want to get paid, and I want to see you guys get paid too, NFL players. Running backs are a dime a dozen. I like running backs. I like fantasy football. I won $2,500 in a fantasy football tournament on Sunday night in the Super Bowl. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to pay these receivers and running backs a lot of money. Now, I know a lot of you balk at me throwing receivers in there too. Look at it. Everybody talks about the Stephon Diggs this and Stephon Diggs that. Look at Justin Jefferson. He's a rookie. He's doing great. They don't have the defense. They don't have the quarterback. They're paying their quarterback too much money. But, these receivers and these running backs, I would not pay them. Don't extend them. That's what your scouts are for. When that receiver that you drafted, say, 3 years ago, you're supposed to be looking ahead of time and say, okay, we need receivers early in this draft. Okay, who's available? Can we get a mid-level wide receiver from free agency? It's better to get them in the draft, preferably in the second round. A lot of great players, Devontae Adams, Antonio Brown was like a third-round pick. A.J. Brown here in Tennessee. I was trying to think of DK Metcalf was a second-round pick. You can find these guys. Pittsburgh finds them all the time. Green Bay finds them because they have to live off there. Yeah, and I was just saying, Carlos, that teams are built from within. The nose of the football and the offensive line of the football. I mean, you got to have the quarterback that can make the throws. I get it. But just don't pay as soon as they're fifth, you can get the fifth-year option on these receivers and running backs, but let them walk and draft another one. Groom them into the position. And for some reason, I guess they're out there by themselves. They get this huge ego. Yeah. And Leonard Fournette, now Bill Belichick's been doing this for 100 years. He picks up guys that are got the football blues on a bad team. And like a Cord Dillon, remember that 15 years ago with the Patriots, comes there, rejuvenates his career. It's kind of like with Leonard Fournette. LeGarrette Blount been kicked off of teams. He was kicked off his college team for punching that guy, or was he suspended or something? But he kicked out of Pittsburgh, bounced around the league, played here at Tennessee. Carlos played at Tampa. LeGarrette Blount has a great second career for peanuts with New England, and he was happy to get that. That's just like Leonard Fournette. He's happy. But, the Jacksonville, as soon as they drafted him like fifth, I said, that is a bust. Yeah. Well, he got the shaft from Carlos because he wasn't performing. He was melody, and he got the football blues. But I would never drafted him. My point is as high as Jacksonville did. And they're still regretting it. The same thing with Dallas. That Zeke Elliott, Dallas fans are regretting extending him a couple years ago. Look at him now. He's a shell of himself. And you got to pay your O-line. you've got to pay your D-line, preferably the O-line, more than anything, because they're harder to find. Preferably, you got to pay your O-line, and you want to and cornerbacks are very hard to find. O-line, cornerbacks, edge rushers, those are where I would draft early, pay early. Everybody else, even linebackers, I'd let some linebackers walk, because and I've looked this up, guys. The bust rate, the least bust rate of any position in the first round is linebacker. It's the easiest. It's the least bust rate in the past 15, 20 years, I want to say. I looked this up a little while back. Running backs, second, third round, all day long. Tennessee got Derrick Henry, Carlos, in the second round, man. I just wouldn't do it. Won't do it. Look, what did Mike Singletary said? He's talking about that player, selfish plays. I won't do it. So that is what I would do there as far as that's concerned. And moving on right along. Okay, so this Mark Cuban story been in the news for a little while. Now I'll say this: Mark Cuban's a businessman, and I'll tell you, I don't know about you guys, but I don't look forward to who's singing the national anthem when I want to go to a game. When I turn a game on, I don't think, okay, I got to see this national anthem. I wonder who they're going to bring out. I wonder what it's going to look at. So he sees the divisiveness between your anthem people and then your stand for anthem and then your social justice people. He saw the big decline. He said, well, let's just stop doing it. And let me just say this. I love my veterans. I used to manage a security company. A lot of my best workers, veterans. Love our military. I would not rather live anywhere else in this country but here. But the thing about it is, it's not that big a deal. It's just, I was okay with him just if he didn't want to do it, here's the thing. Just don't have that negative energy. That's what he's getting at. He don't want the negative. And, of course, the NBA went back and said, you really need to do it. We lost a lot of viewership. And he's like, okay. But what I think he's saying, really what he's saying was, this whole thing is bringing a bad vibe to our business, whether one way or the other. Bringing religion and politics to this business because it's escapism, guys. Jay-Z said, Carlos, he talking about this one time. He's talking about a club. When he was going to a club to get away from all his drama and stuff, he just wanted to meet women. He was single. He had this, and it's one of his songs. He said, I came to the club to get that off my mind. I don't want to hear about your guts and glory. He was talking about running into guys while he's at a nightclub. I guess he's having a few beers. Yeah, that's right. People want to get away. It's escapism. I knew listen, guys. Carlos, you still there, man? They're coming from Alabama and SEC. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's still talking about run back. But when I went in that Super Bowl on Sunday, and I knew I had a big work day coming up this past Monday, I wasn't even thinking about work, man. I wasn't even. Yeah, I understand tradition, and it's things. A lot of stuff is tradition that doesn't need to go on. It's nothing against an anthem, but it's not like what I look forward to. And if I'm Mark Cuban and the commissioner, and it was pretty smart for the commissioner to do what he did, but he made the comment last summer, Adam Silver, that even though some of his friends agree with the anthem, the protests and all that, he said they don't want to see all that at the game. He said that's some of his closest friends. And see, that's me. Even if it's my politics, even if it's my issue, I just don't want to see it, I want to just, like I said, I just want to zone out. Carlos, I don't know if you're still watching. I don't know if you guys got the Nintendo Classic when they re-released the Nintendo, the mini. It's real hard to find. Couldn't find it. But I had to order mine off Amazon. It was like $80. I paid like $110. It's got all the great games in it. Like the Marios, all 3 Marios. Leave the politics at home. That's right. But I got that Nintendo Classic, the Mini. Got all 3 of the Marios. Punch Out, Carlos, Super Contra. When I do a driving job, a courier job, it's really wet and rainy, and I'm stressed out. When I come home and I put that Mario on, yeah, I just forget about. I finally beat Mario 3 again the other day, where Koopa jumps on the bricks and he falls down. It was hard to get through them castles, right? So I'm not thinking about my work. I'm not thinking about no politics. I'm not thinking about some bad wreck I seen on the highway. I'm in escapism. I almost started, guys, to name my show, because I really take this to heart and call it Escapism Sports, because we just want to just chill, watch the game, and I don't want to talk about my debt. People don't want to talk about any of that stuff. I don't want to talk about who's fighting with each other, not unless it's in the game. Again, with Michael Jordan, when he said some guy wanted him to do a speech for some politician about God knows what in North Carolina, he said, it's not that I don't like the guy. He said, that wasn't my energy then. My energy was getting better, And what Michael Jordan then wanted to do, he wanted to about 3 things. He wanted to play basketball and work to play basketball. He wanted to play golf. He'll play golf on his off days and then go and stomp you on the court his other days, or he'll play in golf too. He does beat you, and he'll lose a lot of money. And he loved to gamble. Golf, gamble, basketball, sprinkle in some family stuff. That was all his energy was. And his net worth is what it is, because that's what he kept it into. That's all his energy was. I mean, this guy had to go pull out, who was it, Rodman, out of a hotel room, gamble. He wanted to smoke cigars, I don't smoke that many cigars nowadays, but every time I watch it, I want to smoke another cigar, And when he won in '98, they went over that last shot he did over Russell. And he, you know what? I had to watch that 2 or 3 times to see if Jordan pushed off. And, the truth of the matter is Russell, was it Byron Russell? Was it Brian Russell, Carlos? He was falling away from Jordan, and Jordan just put his arm out of the way to make to help his form. I really thought that he did push off Russell at first, but when you watch it in slow motion, that's what when you watch it in slow motion, though, if you look at it like it's super slow motion, like instant replay, his body was already flailing. I can't use $50 word in that direction, and Jordan was doing that to get his form right. So either way, I think they would have won the game. I mean, but afterwards, he's got this huge cigar, and he's playing the piano, and you got these reporters up in this huge hotel room, and they're asking him about next year. He's like, man, let me just live this moment right now. Let me live this moment right now. And he's sitting there playing with that piano. Everybody's having a good time. They wasn't as crazy as Brady was. I still say it was a bad look for Brady. Jordan wasn't that drunk. Brady was very drunk. Okay. But I just like the escapism of sports. I want to get back to those great moments in the 90s that, we had growing up, Carla, like watching those Knicks and Bulls games, the 6-7 game series, Knicks and Pacers, where it was all about winning. The players wasn't hugging up too much to each other. They were fierce rivals. That was kind of a good moment between. Now looking back, I was a little irritated with Brady, the way he was going back and forth with John Starks I love those days. Those were great games. Those weren't good games. Those were great games. Yeah, that is true. He got probably more hammered because he was on that boat. Yeah, you make a good point, man. But I said this at the beginning of the program. I think that was a bad look for Brady. And I've been that hammered. I've been way worse than that. I've had it where it's and I'm not proud of it because I'm not a throw with stones. Trust me. God, no. But that was a bad look. And he'll admit that. I know deep down he knows now. He's probably saying, like, I shouldn't have did all that. I shouldn't have let him see me like that, you know. I can have a few, 2 or 3 shots, and I got to be cool because I'm on camera. I've got TB12. I got kids watching me. I don't need all that. But now, back in the day, it's just those games. It was all about heated robberies. Some about Tyrann Mathieu. That Brady kind of ticked me off there. But Matthew was jawing back and forth. That's the sports I like. It's all about the game. Winning is everything. Stop trying to grandstand. Don't lecture nobody on your politics. Just everything is about the game and just win and just team and let's win now. And what can we do to win next year? And let's move forward. That was a great era in the 90s, man. That was a great era. Yes, that was funny. I mean, throwing that Lombardi trophy around like that was crazy. But yeah, he was really hammered. That was a bad look for Brady. But none of us are perfect. But if I'm Brady, if I'm one of his close friends, I say don't even do it. He got in his head. But anyways, everybody, I'm done tonight venting forever. The 90s was great. I mean, the 90s, you had the Cowboys. You either love the Cowboys or you hate them. You had the Yankees. I'm from Tennessee. We followed the Braves. We hated the Yankees. And you had the Bulls, you know. I mean, I really wanted to see Reggie Miller get one. I wanted to see Stockton and Malone get one, but Jordan wouldn't do it. Yeah, that was really the Super Bowl. The 49ers, and a friend of mine, Carlos, these guys mentioned the Niners Cowboys. That was my Super Bowl. That was about 2 years with Dion. But I love it when Dion left in 94, went to 95 when he went to San Francisco. That was it right there. I love that. And I was on Dallas, man. I turned on 49ers when they got rid of Montana. I was 11. I didn't know. I didn't understand the business like I do now. But that was the Super Bowl. I love that. Better than the game. The Super Bowls wasn't that good back then. I mean, whoever played other than the Giants in Buffalo, they would destroy. Yeah, Martin Hanks. Charles Haley played on both teams, I want to say. Ken Norton, the boxer's son, Ken Norton Jr., was a great linebacker. Those were great games, man. Those were, of course, Jerry Rice, Mr. Always Ready to Play. You know, then you had Aikman, of course, that great offensive line. Talk about offensive line again. Jay Novacek, Daryl Moose Johnson, of course, Troy, Alvin Harper, and then it got the Bo Jackson. Bo got hurt. That was very unfortunate. But everything was just about the game. It was not about all this other stuff. And that's what I think it needs to get back to. The 80s were good, but the 90s were that much better, you know? And it started fading off a little bit in the 2000s. So anyways, guys, if you like me, share me. Northeast Streaming Sports. Find me on Northeast Streaming Sports. Pats come back on the Cowboys. Yeah, that was pretty good. Elway was good in 98. Yeah, both of those wins by Elway was off the hook. Thanks, Carlos. Y'all have a good night. I'm way over an hour reminiscing here. I will see you Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central Time. You can find me on the Mac and Jack Show. Just Google that. You can find it, Twitch. Check out Alternate. Good people doing a good thing. Make a donation. Tell them Robert from SportsSkope sent you. Have a good night, everybody.